Hi everyone, still Spark 24, and I am still Adewumi Adeniyi, your biology instructor. And today we'll be talking about ecology. Today we'll be discussing ecology. Of course, ecology has been defined as the study of organisms in relation to their environment. Ecology has been defined as the study of an organism or study of organism in relation to their environment. Of course, the environment consists of different categories of organism, some microscopic, some macroscopic that you can see with our eye, and all of them are relating. They're having different kind of activity, reaction or the other on the environment. So the branch of biology that deal with the study of the organism in relation to their environment is called ecology. Organism in question can be plant, it can be animal. And the word ecology is actually derived from two Greek words, oikos, which means home, and logos, of course, meaning to study. So ecology is the study of organism in relation to their environment. Ecology is the study of organism in relation to their environment. So it is the scientific study of the interaction that occur among organisms, among living organisms and the environment, okay? The scientific study of the relationship, the interactions that occur between living organisms and their physical environment is called ecology, okay? A branch of biology that was developed from natural history, and studies reveal that the relationship between living and non-living things of the world is understood, okay, in ecology. The relationship between the living and non-living things of the world. Now, let's briefly look at the branches of ecology. The branches of ecology. Of course, we divide ecology into two main divisions. We have autecology and we have synecology. Autecology, from self. So the ecology of a single species of organism. Ecology of a single species of organism, that is referred to as autecology. When you study a single organism, for example, if a biologist decides to study only Panicum maximum in the environment, a single species, that's autecology. Or you decide to study only the activities of female Anopheles mosquito, just study them, that is autecology. But if you consider the relationship between female Anopheles mosquito, the human being that sleep on the bed that the mosquito visit, and the Plasmodium falciparum that they take from the blood of infected person and drop into the blood of an uninfected person, getting that other person infected. Here now I've already made mention of three different species. The species of female Anopheles mosquito, the species of Plasmodium falciparum, and the species of human species. Okay, now these are three different species that could form a community. In this case, what we are studying is synecology. Synecology is the study of ecology of different species, or several species, or the study of the ecology of an entire community in an environment. That is what we call synecology. So we can have autecology, you can also have synecology. Autecology is the ecology of a single species. Synecology is the ecology of many species of organisms. Now, let's look at ecological concept. Of course, there are various concepts of the ecology. We have the concept of the environment, both living and non-living things that surround or that affect the organism. We have the biosphere, which is the zone of the earth that support life, the part of the earth crust where life is supported or where life can be found. That is hydrosphere. We talk about lithosphere, which is the solid portion of the earth, and this consists of solid rocks and mineral, etc. Then we have hydrosphere. the portion of the earth crust that is occupied by water, hydrosphere. This consists of water body, the oceans, the river, the seas, the lake, etc. Then we have the atmosphere, the part of the earth crust covered by gases, okay, the gaseous portion of the earth, and this consists of about 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, few amount 0.03% of carbon dioxide, and we have few rare gases, about 0.97. You add them together, you have 100%. Okay, now so these are the various concepts of the of ecology, or say ecological concept. So when you look at the atmosphere, you can talk about the atmosphere. You talk of different things, different part of it or element of it. Okay, so that is ecological concept. You have the concept of the environment, you have the concept of a biosphere, the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the atmosphere. You have concept of individual, you have concept of population, community, all together. We have concept of habitat, and the habitat has been the place where, defined as a place where an organism live. Okay, now we have concept of community, concept of biome, concept of biosphere, and then we have concept of ecosystem. Okay, and the concept of these are all various concepts of the ecological, of the basic ecological concept. Okay, we have habitat. What is the habitat? The habitat refers to the place where an organism live. Okay, a habitat is a place where an organism live. The habitat is a place where an organism live. It could be underground. It could be when you talk about subterranean. We have aquatic habitat. We have terrestrial habitat. Under aquatic habitat, you have sea, you have river, freshwater ecosystem. There is a saltwater ecosystem. And under the terrestrial ecosystem, the terrestrial habitat, you can have arboreal. So the organisms that live on top of the tree. We have ground dwellers. We have those that live under the earth, subterranean. Okay, so these are the concept of habitat. So the habitat can be small, like a place where a single organism is living. It can be even big. And we have concept of the niche. Of course, the niche of an organism talk about the professional role, the professional status, the function of the organism in the ecosystem. That is the niche of the organism. What the organism is doing there. Okay. For example, in Graceland International School, it is my niche to teach biology. While we have some people, their niche, for example, we have the security. Their niche is to stay at the gate and be assure safety of properties, opening gate for people to come in. We have management staff whose niche is to ensure that the system is functioning properly. So the niche of an organism is the functional role, the status of the organism. So an organism in an ecosystem could be a decomposer, it could be a producer, it could be a consumer, it could be a decomposer. So the organism have different niche in the ecosystem. Then what is ecosystem? Ecosystem refers to the living organism and their non-living environment interacting together as a system. When you have the living component, the living things of the ecosystem, of the environment, and their non-living environment interacting together as a system. It's a self-supporting system that includes all the living organisms and their non-living environment, where they interact together as a functional unit together. Okay, it's a self-supporting system because once the system starts, energy to drive the system can be generated within the system. So the system can continue to run continuously. So that's why we say ecosystem is a self-supporting system. It consists of all the living things in the ecosystem and their non-living environment interacting together as a system. So ecosystem is a community of plants and animals and smaller organisms, microscopic, decomposer, all of them together, interacting together in an environment. That is ecosystem. And the ecosystem, we have it has The ecosystem have we have a biotic component and a biotic component. A biotic component of the ecosystem includes the living component of the ecosystem, while the abiotic component includes a non-living component of the ecosystem. The biome, we talk about concept of biome, that I'm still under the ecological concept. A biome is any naturally occurring group of different organisms living together in the same environment. That's the biome. It's usually the biome is usually marked by a distinct plant form. Of course, the plant community in an environment in a particular biome will determine the type of biome you have there. Of course, the name of the biome is usually arrived at based on the plant community. For example, you can talk about rainforest biome. You can talk about desert biome. You can talk about mangrove swamp forest biome. You can talk about savanna biome. So this depends on the type of plant community you have there. So the biome is any naturally occurring group of different organisms living together in the same environment, naturally occurring, in quote, naturally occurring. They are there naturally. It's not that somebody is supervising or somebody is trying to modify them. Biome is a naturally occurring group of different organisms that are living together in the same environment. The population is the total number of organisms of the same species living together in a given area, and a community refers to different species, different population of organisms that live together in a particular place. So a biome is a large geographical region characterized by a specific set of environmental conditions such as climate, soil type, topography, and vegetation. So a biome is a large geographical region characterized by a specific set of environmental conditions. Okay, for example, when you talk about rainforest biome, a rainforest is a complex. For example, tropical rainforest is a complex lowland forest that is found on land that is not usually waterlogged, but characterized by high annual rainfall, temperature, and humidity throughout the year. That's for tropical rainforest. And when you talk about mangrove swamp, of course, a mangrove swamp in a place like Port Harcourt, rain can be falling and you still be feeling hot inside. The places are usually swampy. Okay, so these are different biomes. We have local biome, we have the world biome, we have Afro-Alpine biome that is characterized by mountainous vegetation. You see some mountain, and on top of the mountain you can see three different forests. Okay, now a community is a group of population that coexist together in a particular area at a particular time. They interact with one another, either directly or indirectly, whether you like it or not. Wherever you are living, there are interactions between you and some microorganisms in your environment. There are interactions between you and a female Anopheles mosquito that come into your room, sing for you, bite you, suck some blood from you, and take it to another person and drop some whatever is like dropping plasmodium, like I said earlier. So there are always interaction between living things and their environment where they find themselves. Okay, so whether directly or indirectly, groups of organisms do interact. For example, there is a different population of human living in every city. One species can have many different populations around the world. So a population consists of members of one species. That a species is a group of individuals that are capable of interbreeding, producing fertile offspring. So when you talk about a population is actually formed by a species of organism. Now, population versus community. What is a population? We say it's made up of all the members of a particular species that live together in an area. For example, humans who live in the city of Nigeria, for example, they belong to one population. They are distinct from the population living in different cities. Okay, we have character, we have language, we have tongue, intonation, different. Okay, where you have two people, human being living, for example, in the city of Port Harcourt, that's a population. In Nigeria, human being in Nigeria, that's a population because we belong to the same species. And now, how is population different from a species? A species includes all organisms in the world which look similar and can mate to make viable and fertile offspring. A population includes only the member of a species that live in a given region. A population is different from a species because a species includes all organisms in the world that have similar features. They can mate and give birth to viable offspring, fertile offspring. But the population includes only the member of that species that live in a given region. Okay? All human on Earth belong to the same species, but not all human on Earth belong to the same population. Then how is a population or species different from a community if you are comparing? A population consists of members of one species that live in a particular area, but a community includes all the different species that live in that area. So you can talk about Graceland International School community, where you have different, we have human beings, all students, staff, we have insects that disturb us, we have plants that are around here, the grasses, the flowers that we use to decorate here, the school. We have the mosquito, we have the different kind of organisms that carry diseases. For example, some human beings, they have Plasmodium species inside their body. Some people have different kind of microorganism, different, all of them together. That form Graceland International School community. So we have a different level of, we have different organism. Okay, now component of the ecosystem, like I said earlier, I said we have a biotic component and we have biotic component. The abiotic component includes the non-living factor, the non-living component of the ecosystem, while the biotic component includes the living component. Of course, we have producers, we have consumers, we have decomposers. Okay, I'm talking about a consumer. They could be primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. The producers are green plants that manufacture food. They don't depend on other organisms in the environment. They manufacture their own food through the process of photosynthesis. That's we have so that we call them autotroph. Auto means self. Troph, they can feed themselves. They manufacture food to feed themselves by themselves. Then we have another group of autotroph, chemosynthetic autotroph. Okay, these guys why green plants, why photosynthetic autotroph, the green plant use sunlight energy as a source of energy to assemble carbohydrates. In the case of chemosynthetic autotroph, they use the chemical energy that is obtained from the oxidation of a simple chemical compound. For example, sulfur bacteria use the chemical energy that is obtained from the oxidation of hydrogen sulfide to assemble carbohydrates. So they are called chemosynthetic autotroph. Then we are consumer, the people that feed on the food manufactured by the producer. Of course, we are consumer. Okay, we have primary consumer, the secondary consumer, then we have tertiary consumer, and then we have decomposers. These are all biotic components of the ecosystem. Now, the producer, like I said, they manufacture their own food. They take sunlight energy, or the chloroplast of the green plant contain grana. Inside the grana, we have the thylakoid membrane that can capture sunlight energy and convert it to chemical energy stored in the molecules of food that organisms will later eat to get their own nutrition or nutrient. So example of producers, green plants, some bacteria, etc. The grasses, shrub and tree, here and there, they are. Now, consumer is any animal that gets its energy from consuming another organism. Like I said, they feed on food already made in the environment, where the organism that consume the primary consumer are herbivores, the primary consumer. Okay, the organism that consume the producers, the consumers, primary consumer, are those ones that feed on the primary consumer. We call them secondary consumer. And we have tertiary consumer that you find at the apex of the food chain that feed on the secondary consumer. Then we have a decomposer, those ones that break down the body of the dead, decaying organic matter. Decomposer, they play an important role in the ecosystem by digesting dead matter, but they put nutrients back to the soil, making them available to producers. They play major role in the natural cycle of nutrients. By the time they break down death, decaying organic matter, they return nutrient back to the ecosystem. So the ecosystem can then keep on supporting itself, getting nutrient back from the ecosystem, from the composer, and recirculating it. Okay, so the composer break down organic material, they send back a nutrient to the ecosystem, and then we have different. We have macro decomposer, we have micro decomposer. Of course, mushroom is a macro decomposer. They are big. Some insects, they feed on maggot. That's why we release their maggot, and the maggot will act or decay food, acting on them in a way, breaking down some of these things. Okay, so that is decomposer. Now, what about the abiotic factor of the ecosystem? Like I said earlier, the abiotic factor, they are the non-living component of the ecosystem. The variety of living things on Earth is affected and determined by sunlight, temperature, pressure, moisture, air movement, which are all together called climatic factors. Okay, so we have different factors: light, temperature, air, oxygen, water, rainfall, humidity, wind, topography of the soil, etc. They are all abiotic factor. Okay, this abiotic factor could be edaphic when you talk about the soil factor, factors that are related to the soil, the texture of the soil, the pH of the soil, whether the soil is acidic or alkaline, the soil nutrient, availability of a nutrient in the soil, organic matter content and water content of the soil. The soil is the topmost layer or the uppermost layer of the earth crust and consists of rock, organic matter, air, water, mineral. The soil function are to provide plant with anchorage, to supply water, to supply nutrient, to supply air to the plant, to house millions of microorganisms that you don't even know exist. Several millions of microorganisms that you don't know exist live under the soil. So the adaptive factors are factors that have to do with the soil type, etc. Now, the topography as well. The topography factor is derived from the Greek word topos and a graphia. Topos is equal to place, graphia is equal to writing. The configuration of a soil face, including its relief and portion of its natural and man-made feature, is called topography. When you look at the soil, some soil they are elevating, depressing, some are hilly, and there are many topographic factors like configuration of the land surface, the altitude, how high, the slope, the aspect talking about the direction of exposure, whether the direction of exposure is facing the sun or is the exposure is in a way that most of the soil is backing the direction where sunlight is coming from. This factor will affect the producer and therefore affect every living thing directly or indirectly. So that is that for today. We are now going to move into answering some questions on ecosystem to bring our discussion home to us. The first question I have is, which of the following is a biotic factor which affects the population? Which of the following is a biotic factor that affects the population? A, we have pressure. B, wind. C, temperature. D, parasite. Both pressure, wind, temperature are non-living, but when you come to parasite, they are parasites are organisms that live inside the body of another organism, so they are living factor. Then question 2 says, which of the following reduces overcrowding in a population? A, loose immigration. B, increased birth rate. C, limited space. D, reduced birth rate. Which of the following reduces overcrowding in a population? Is it loose immigration? No. Is it increased birth rate? Increased birth rate will cause overcrowding. Limited space, if the space available is limited, it will cause overcrowding. But reduced birth rate, if the rate at which people are giving birth reduce, that is natality, then it will reduce overcrowding in the population. So reduced birth rate will reduce overcrowding. Option D is more appropriate. Question 3, an anemometer is used for measuring dash: A, temperature. B, pressure. C, humidity. D, wind speed. Temperature, of course, is the degree of hotness of coldness of the place. Temperature is measured by thermometer, not a anemometer. Pressure is measured by, of course, there are different type of pressure. So we have blood pressure, which is measured by sphygmomanometer. So humidity is it the degree of the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere? No. But when you talk about wind speed, the speed of wind is recorded, is measured by anemometer, while the direction of speed is captured by wind vane. The speed is measured by anemometer, and the direction of wind is captured by by wind vane. Now, soil is said to be infertile. Soil is said to be infertile if it is black, no. B, if it has high oxygen content, no. C, if it is waterlogged, no. D, if it can't supply usable nutrients to the plants. Of course, if the soil cannot supply nutrients that are needed by the plant for growth, then the soil will be described as being infertile. Option D. Which of the following type of soil has the least water retaining capacity? A, sand. B, loam. C, clay. D, gravel. Which of the following type of soil has the least water retaining capacity? Of course, gravel. Gravels cannot retain anything. Gravel, they are stones, so water, as you pass in, water will move down. It will be followed, of course, the one that will be close to it will be the sandy soil too. Okay, will not, but the appropriate answer here is option D. Gravel will not be able to retain much moisture. The next question says, temperature is an example of a factor in an ecological system referred to as dash. Is it A, biome, B, edaphic, C, biotic, D, abiotic? Temperature is an example of abiotic factor, non-living factor. A natural environment where organisms live is called dash. A, organization. B, environment. C, ecosystem. D, habitat. The habitat is a place where an organism lives. So a natural environment where an organism lives is called habitat. The thin film on the surface of the earth in which all life exists is called dash. The thin film on the surface of the earth in which all life exists is called dash. A, hydrosphere, that's water part of the biosphere. Troposphere, no. Atmosphere, that's air, gaseous part. Biosphere, of course, biosphere is a portion of the earth that supports life. So the thin film on the surface of the earth where life can exist is called biosphere. The area composed of a community and the physical environment it occupies is called dash. Is it community, population, ecology, D, ecosystem, and the area composed of a community and the physical environment it occupies. When you have a community of organisms and the physical environment where they are found interacting together, that is called ecosystem. So an ecosystem, ecology is when you study an organism in relation to the environment. But when you talk about a community of organisms and the environment, the physical environment where they occur and interact, where they are interacting together as a system, that is ecosystem. Next question says, the following are abiotic components of the environment except. The following are abiotic components of the environment except A, wind, B, light, C, soil, D, bacteria. While wind, light, soil are abiotic component of the ecosystem, bacteria is a living thing. So it's part of the bacteria is part of the biotic component of the ecosystem. Next question says, the organisms that manufacture their food are called dash. A, herbivores. B, decomposers. C, saprophytes. D, autotroph. Herbivores feed on herbs. They are primary consumers. Decomposers are tertiary. They bring about the decomposition or breakdown dead decaying organic matter. Saprophytes are also decomposers. But autotroph, they are organisms that are able to manufacture their own food using the light energy of the sun in the case of photoautotroph, or using the chemical energy obtained from the oxidation of simple chemical compound in the case of chemoautotroph. So the appropriate answer is autotroph, option D. Next question says, the organisms that eat only the meat from other animals are called that are detritivore, B, omnivores, C, herbivores, D, carnivore. What are the detritivores? The detritivores are organisms that feed on humus. Okay, the detritivores, they feed on humus, like earthworm, eating eating through humus, organic material in the soil, break down the decay that are completely decomposed organic material called humus. So they are detritivores. Then omnivores are organisms that eat both flesh and plant. Omnivores. And we have herbivores. Herbivores, animals that feed on herbs. Then we have carnivores, which is the last option. The carnivores, they are the animals that feed on meat only. We call them flesh eaters. The next question says, the process that uses organisms to return the natural environment altered by contaminant to its original condition is called dash. See, bioindication to indicate bioaccumulation to occur when organic material accumulates over the course of time. Bioconcentration of biological material, if there's anything, biological component, biologically active matter. Bioremediation, say the process that use organism to return the natural environment altered by contaminant to its original condition is called bioremediation. Okay, bioremediation. We can use some organism, some bacteria can be used to heat up oil spillage on the floor. So some bacteria that feed on them, that clear, thereby returning the environment to its normal. That is bioremediation. Even the absorption of carbon dioxide by a plant. Green plant use carbon dioxide and return oxygen to the environment. It's purifying. That's purifying the environment. So when you say bioremediation, it's to use living organism to alter. For example, we can even use plant to clean up the environment, to alter to supply. So there are some plants that can indicate pollution, bioindication, and then afterwards you go, okay, the environment is laden with a particular component. You can use another organism to clear them off. Another organism can be used to digest them, to remove the contaminant from the environment. That's bioremediation. Some organisms can be used to clean up if there is pollution of the environment is polluted. What we need to do is to look for an organism that can feed on the pollutant, thereby clean up the environment. So the appropriate answer is option D, bioremediation. The net weight of an organism living in an ecosystem which increases as a result of its net production is called dash. The net weight of all organisms living in an ecosystem which increases as a result of its net production is called dash. A, gross productivity, B, ecological biome, C, net secondary productivity, and D, biomass. If you talk about gross primary productivity is talking about the rate at which the sunlight energy is converted to chemical energy stored in the molecule of plants. Okay, in the ecosystem, that's what we call gross primary productivity, GPP. For example, when sun shines on the environment, it's not all of the light energy can be used. There are molecules that can be used, maybe about 90 to 91 to 99 or 90 to 99 of it are not usable. So it's just about 1 to 10% of the sunlight energy of the sun can be converted into chemical energy in plant. So the total amount or the rate at which the environment, the plant in the ecosystem are able to convert light energy of the sun to chemical energy stored in the molecule of food. That is what we call gross primary productivity of the environment. And when you say, is this one say net secondary productivity? We normally talk about net primary productivity, NPP. Okay, that is after the green plant have taken their own, the one they want to use for cellular respiration, the one they use for bodybuilding, after they have removed it from the GPP. So the what you have net is the amount of the energy that can be of food or storage that can be passed across to the next trophic level that can be passed. So it's a measure of the food or the amount of the GPP that can be passed on to the next trophic level. That is net primary productivity. So actually, net primary productivity is GPP minus cost of metabolism by the plant. Okay, so when you talk about ecological biome, just normal biome as we define as a naturally occurring a community of organisms in a particular place. But when you say biomass, that is the biological mass. Okay, so the net is a net weight of the organism, the net weight of all organisms living in an ecosystem, which increase as a result of its net production, is called biomass. So that's the amount that the organism can store, the amount that they can store, okay, their biological weight, their biological mass. So the correct option is option D, the biomass. The next question says a complete description of how organisms relate to its physical and biological environment is called that. A, system, B, population, C, biome, D, niche. A complete description of how organism relates to its physical and biological environment. A complete description. So the total duty, functional role, complete activity. The organism can be a producer. So if they describe it completely in the ecosystem, that they produce food. So their role in the environment is to manufacture food. They purify the environment by removing carbon dioxide. They release food. They manufacture food in the form of carbohydrate, etc. Then some organisms are decomposer. They break down their decaying organic matter. So the complete description of the organism, of how organisms relate to its physical and biological environment, is the niche. The niche of the organism is the role, the function, the status of the organism in the ecosystem. Whatever it does there, whether it is there as a consumer, it is there as a producer, it is there as a decomposer, whatever. That's the complete, that's the niche of the organism. I have told you earlier, I said my niche is to teach biology in Graceland. The niche of a management staff is to ensure that the school is running smoothly. The niche of the security is to keep property safe and to do so. We have people that we call the hostel parents. Their niche is to stay with the students when we teacher might have even come to their houses. The niche of everybody, that's the complete description of their job. Whatever they do in the ecosystem, that's the niche. The study of how a species population, there should be S at the back of that. The study of how a species, the word species has no singular or plural. The study of how a species population interact with the environment and its resulting dynamics is called that. The study of how a species population interact with the environment and its resulting dynamics is called that. Zoology, the study of animal zoology. Ecology, study of organism and the environment. Ecology, Ecology, the study of how a species population interacts with the environment. In other words, the study of a species of organism. Like I said, you want to study, you are studying maybe you are studying Phlebotomus duboski in the ecosystem, or you are studying sandfly, you are studying maybe Aphramoma menaguata. You are studying, name it, any species of organism in the ecosystem. You want to study Tridus procumbens and what it does, where it the position it occupies in the ecosystem. That is ecology. You want to study the domestic fowl, domestic dog. You want to study the bacteria, a particular bacteria that live in the nose, in the gut. That is, as long as you are picking only one, that's ecology. It becomes ecology when you have more than one species of organisms that are studied at a time. The next question says the study of how organisms live and how they interact with their environment. Is that a zoology, ecosystem, botany, ecology? Ecology is the study of organisms in relation to their environment. The study of organisms, how they live, how they interact with their physical environment. What they do in the physical environment, that is ecology. The relationship whereby two organisms mutually benefit from each other is called as A. Parasitism, B. Saprophytic, C. Commensalism, D. Symbiosis. Parasitism is negative. I mean, it's plus negative rather. One organism benefits the other, another one suffer loss or harm. The one that benefits is the parasite, the whole suffer loss. So there is no mutually benefited, or they are not they do not mutually, not all of them, there's no mutual benefit. Or is it saprophytic? Saprophytic is when an organism feed on decaying organic matter. Is it commensalism? A commensal is an organism that feed on another organism, while the other organism is not even aware of its presence. Commensal. The organism, for example, the interaction between remora and a shark. The shark is not aware of the presence of remora, but the remora follow the shark everywhere, eating crumbs that are falling from the shark. The shark is too big to be affected by the small crumb that remora feed on. So that's commensalism. The opposite of commensalism is amensalism, where an organism destroy another one without any benefit or loss. For example, cattle crushing, walking on grass, walking on insect, and using their leg to break and destroy completely the body of the insect or crush the plant. The cattle is not aware is rendering harm to the other organism in the environment. It's just to the cattle is just living, or the cow is living its own, or the elephant are living their own life. They are unaware that they are crushing some organism. That's amensalism. Amensalism. Opposite of commensalism. But when you talk about symbiosis, two organisms are mutually benefiting from one another. Like when you have a mutualistic association between an insect pollinated flower and the insect pollinator. The pollinator get there to get pollen grain. The flower, on the other hand, have its flower pollinated. Or the one between the root of the bacteria that live in the root nodules of a leguminous plant. The bacteria gets home, he get a custody, or he get a place to live, get an apartment in the nodule, get a dwelling place there. Why? The plant are able to get nitrogen fixed for them, and the bacteria are able to help them fix atmospheric nitrogen into to the soil, so that the plant is able to benefit getting nitrogen, while the animal, the organism, the bacteria, for example, rhizobium leguminosarum, they benefit by getting shelter, and they get even food from the plant. Okay, that is a symbiosis. Okay, a symbiosis. Our next question says, a complicated feeding relationship that exists among organisms in a natural environment is called a complicated feeding relationship that exists among organisms in a natural environment is called A. Food chain, B. Parasitism, C. Niche, D. Food web. A food chain is a linear feeding relationship that consists of organism feeding on another organism, and in turn that organism is eating up by another organism. It's linear, just a straight line. That's a food chain. A linear feeding relationship that shows who eats who in the environment. Parasitism, we know that, we discussed that today. Niche, we say niche, a niche, the niche of an organism in the ecosystem, talk about the position, the functional role of the organism in the ecosystem. But food web is an interconnected food chain that show different kinds of feeding relationships that are occurring in the ecosystem. So it's a complicated or complex feeding relationship that exists among organisms, not one organism, many organisms, where one organism feed another one, this one feed. There are many ways by which each organism can obtain their food. Next question say the position occupied by an organism in the food chain is known as dash. Say that food level, biome, habitat, trophic level. A trophic level is the position occupied by an organism. So an organism occupied trophic level 1, some occupy trophic level 2, some trophic level 3. So the trophic level, that is the position the organism occupy. This is different from the functional role. We're talking about to compare them. When you talk about the niche is talking about the functional role, the functional status, but the trophic level is talking about the position occupied. Okay, it can be the trophic level is the position occupied in a food chain. Okay, not in the ecosystem. So when you have a food chain, one organism might be feeding on organism A, now one is feeding, another one is feeding on that organism B, continue like that. Now, which of the following has the total amount of energy entering a food chain? Carnivores, decomposer, consumer, producer. Of course, carnivores have the very small amount of energy because they are on top of the food chain, so they get very small amount of the energy because the energy decrease as you move down the food chain. Decomposer, they get very low. Consumer, depending on whether primary or secondary consumer. Primary consumer will get more than the secondary consumer, of course. But the producer are the one where we have the total amount of energy because they are the one that trap it. So they are the one that the amount they can trap, the gross primary productivity, they are the one that trap it. It is the net primary productivity that are able to pass on to the next trophic level that the organism at the next level can account for. So the most of the energy there in the food chain is found. Most of the energy, the total amount of energy entering the food chain is found in the producer. The next question is, which of the following processes does not add carbon to the atmosphere? Which of the following processes does not add carbon to the atmosphere? Is it condensation? Condensation is when water molecule or solid in the atmosphere can condense and drop as rain. Respiration release carbon dioxide as a byproduct. Burning release carbon dioxide as a byproduct. But photosynthesis, which is more appropriate, many things can condense to release different kind of things. But when you talk about photosynthesis we scavenge, we absorb, we completely remove carbon dioxide. That is why it's the process purifies the environment. Photosynthesis will remove carbon dioxide from the environment and introduce oxygen. So which of the following process does not add carbon to the atmosphere? Photosynthesis does not, rather it removes it. An organism X lives entirely on another organism Y to derive nourishment from it. In this association, X is a dash, a commensal. No, I explained commensal not long ago. Symbiont. No, a symbiont, both live in a mutualistic relationship with another organism. A saprophytic. Is it a saprophyte? No, saprophyte feed on the decaying organic matter. The parasite, deep parasite. An organism X live entirely. An organism X that live entirely on another organism and derive its nourishment from the other organism, that organism X is called parasite. The organism Y is the host. Is the one that is hosting X. So organism X is a parasite, organism Y is the host. So the correct answer is option D, parasite. What is the primary consumer in the given sequence? In this given sequence, which one is the primary consumer? We have grass, grasshopper, snake, toad, hawk. Which one is the primary consumer? The grass, of course, is the producer. The grasshopper feed on the grass. So the grasshopper is the primary consumer. Toad can feed on the grasshopper, in which case the toad is the secondary consumer. The hawk can feed on the toad, in which case the hawk become the tertiary consumer. Snake can also feed on the hawk, or hawk feed on snake. So each of them can occupy, because the hawk can fly and carry, especially if you put it there. They can carry the snake and hit it on the wall. Okay? So, but here, the correct answer is the grasshopper, which is the primary consumer. That's the appropriate option. Next question says, which of the following factor is edaphic? A, bacteria, water, C, virus, D, soil. Edaphic has to do with soil factor. So option D. An association between two organisms in which one benefit and the other derive neither benefit nor harm is called that saprophytism, symbiosis, parasitism, D, commensalism. I discussed this the other time. A commensal benefit, the other organism is not affected in any way. The next one is, which of the following steps is the first in carrying out ecological studies in a terrestrial habitat? Which of the following steps is the first in carrying out ecological studies in a terrestrial habitat? Measuring edaphic factors. B, quadrat sampling. C, collection of organisms. D, mapping out the area. Which of the following step is the first step? Quadrat sampling cannot be the first. Can be worked by quadrat sampling. You already counting the number of individuals. Measuring edaphic factors, the soil, no. A collection of organisms, no. But mapping out the area, to determine the area where you want to carry out your study. That's the first thing. Where do I want to study? Do I want to study the grass community in Graceland International School? Do I want to study the grass community in the city of Port Harcourt? Do I want to study the plant community in Lagos, Nigeria, and compare with the grass community in Abuja to be able to give an example of what goes on, what type of grass community we have in Nigeria? And I map out map out, okay, the area of Lagos I want to study. I will study Aja, I will study Isoko, I will study Bajao, mention different places in Lagos that I can study. Muchin, Lagos, Ojo Elegba, Oshodi, where I pick the area that I want to conduct my study. Map out. In carrying out ecological survey, you cannot study all the place. You map an area you are going to study, and then that's your sample. Sampling, a sample is a portion of a whole that is taken to represent the whole. So you can make a sample. This is the sample, and you take the sample, you study it, and you cannot generalize. This is how city of Lagos look like. It's not that you must map up every part of Lagos. You just pick a particular sample for study. Okay, so you're mapping out an area. That's the first step. The area where you want to conduct your study. The following component of an ecosystem contribute to the biomass of the system, except that. The following component of an ecosystem contribute to the biomass of the system, except that. Microorganism, consumer, producer, community. The following component of an ecosystem contribute to the biomass of the system, except microorganism will contribute to the biomass. Of course, microorganism can attack you and make an organism to lose weight. Consumer can consume other organism. Then they can also accumulate. Producer produce and accumulate biological mass. But community, The following component of an ecosystem contribute to the environment, but community, no. So the correct option, the appropriate one is option D, community. Which of these factors is not common to both aquatic and terrestrial habitat? Which of these factors is not common to both aquatic and terrestrial habitat? Light. Of course, light is common to both. Which of these factors is not common? Rainfall is common. Temperature is common to both. Water can be hot. Terrestrial environment can also be hot. Tide is not common to both. We discuss tide in aquatic environment. So tide is not common to both. The least amount of energy in an ecosystem occur at the level of the Dutch. Producer, decomposer, herbivores, carnivore. The least amount of energy occur among the carnivore. The producer have the highest, followed by of course, the herbivores. They are consuming directly on the producer, and the consumer follow. Okay, so the least is among the carnivore, because they are usually on top of the tertiary consumer. Okay, so that is where we're going to stop for today. Thanks for your time. Have a beautiful time. Up there. See you up there. Thank you.